In film, a big theme that is used is the feeling of isolation, where it be literally being alone in Moon, being lost because of language and lost in translation, to social isolation like in Taxi Driver. To me, there's one film that captures loneliness in a very interesting and unique way, at least in my opinion. That being 1995's Fallen Angels.
同佢合作咗155個星期，今次係第一次坐埋一齊。平時我哋唔多見面。
The film follows two storylines, one about an assassin trying to escape his life of crime, who is posed by his partner who secretly loves him, and a mute ex-convict who falls in love with a crazy woman who has just been dumped by her boyfriend. The film, however, isn't really about the story and more about the mood and atmosphere, which is possibly its strongest element, as well as the gorgeous cinematography. As the film was shot with very wide-angle lenses, which I think perfectly conveys the sense of isolation these characters are in. Oftentimes, the characters are shot either alone or in bright colours, whilst the backgrounds are very bland, dreary colours, to emphasise the characters in question, which is done very well throughout the film. Whether it's the assassin's partner, who I think is shown throughout the film to be the most lonely character, whether the opening scene of her on the escalator, or when cleaning his apartment, or her in a very dark, moody bar. Even her haircut, in which you can barely see her eyes, thus she's literally hiding from the outside world. I think another great thing the film does is even when characters are together, they are still isolated. For example, the mute character, Hee Sui, is in love with the crazy character, Charlie. He always takes her to where she wants to go, which is usually to find her ex-boyfriend, whether it's going to random apartments and threatening to Molotov them unless Blondie, the woman who stole her boyfriend, comes out, or going to a football match in order to get seen on TV. However, specifically in that relationship in the film, it's shown that both characters want different things. This is exemplified in a black and white scene, in which he is scratching and maroofing his head on her shoulder in a suggestive manner, while she looks bored due to not being able to find Blondie or her ex-boyfriend.
是在10几岁的时候，我比较晚熟，可能是因为我要求太高吧。在1995年的5月30号，我终于得到我的初恋。
Film constantly does this throughout the film. Despite characters being close to each other in proximity, they both want different things. This is done very well during a juxtaposed scene in which the assassin ends up sleeping with an eccentric woman named Blondie, who is a prostitute, whilst it is juxtaposed to the agent of the assassin while pleasuring herself whilst crying. Now, I think the film is elevated very well by the fact it's actually quite funny, which going into the film I didn't realise it was a comedy, but I was nicely surprised by it, as the comedy is used to illustrate the themes as well, mostly coming during the Hee Sui parts of the film, due to his muteness, thus literally being unable to communicate with Charlie, which leads to much more antics like him finding a blonde blow-up doll and getting Charlie to attack him.
咁冇靈，你睇有天嚟啦，終於捉你出嚟啦，你仲唔死？死八婆，
or him making a guy eat ice cream forcefully and dragging them round Hong Kong with his family.
我非常喜欢吃冰淇淋，我小的时候每天都有一台冰淇淋车停在我家门口。
Now, Hee Sui's relationship with Charlie, eventually, a few months after he meets Charlie again, who is now studioless, and seems mentally stable, but to her more mentally unstable side we see earlier in the film, and he tries to impress her to no avail. She seems to not recognise him or acknowledge him. Another genius touch, which was intentional from director Wong Kar-wai, was the film mostly taking place at night, which further makes the themes of isolation very obvious, especially during the assassin's part of the story, as that is when he works, and the fact he is mostly wearing dark black colours, and often during his scenes he kills everybody, thus again being literally alone. A very great, meaningful, thoughtful touch to the film. The film's ending, I think, is possibly its best ever point story-wise, as it's one of the only times we see characters have a genuine connection despite it starting in a very isolated manner, with he getting attacked whilst the camera focuses on the partner, who seems to not really care whatsoever. as at this point of the film, the assassin had already been killed. Despite their no apparent chemistry, they go for a ride in one of the only scenes in which there's connection between any characters. So despite them literally not being able to communicate, and the fact they won't ever meet again, there's finally a connection and warmth between characters. And when the camera pans up, it's daytime. Thus the isolation, even if only for a brief moment, is gone.
好快我會落車，不過呢1分鐘，我覺得好亂。
Overall, a fantastically beautiful shot, well acted, funny, unique film that I think carefully demonstrates the feeling of isolation that these characters and even people feel on a daily basis, and the inability to make loving connection. Although the film ends on a very positive note in my opinion, and The Fallen Angels is well worth the watch. Thanks for watching.